Hello dear students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. Now I am going to take up the topic developments that lead to HRM perspective. Now we were on the topic of international human resource management. Now we need to understand that how human resource management developed into international human resource management. Now of course, when some kind of development comes into play in any of the departments, say finance department or IT department or HR department, there are always some challenges that lead to development of the next set of processes. So of course, when we talk about international human resource management, there are basic sets of challenges that come into play when we talk about human resources in detail. So basically we can say these challenges lead to development of the international human resource management department in a holistic manner, so that the people are better placed at right places in the right time when they move in the host country. Now over here, managing human capital is a challenging task for any manager. Now if we are going to manage finance, it may be easy. If we are going to manage marketing, it may be easy, but if we are going to manage the HR people, the human resource or human capital, then it becomes a very complex task, because different people come from different background with different mindsets or with different frame. So any knowledge based economy or knowledge based workers will always state that it is a risky affair when we manage people. Now when we are going to manage people, if it is risky, we need to understand the various challenges that we are going to face. Now very first challenge is difficulty in creating an international human connection. Now when the person moves from his native country, his parent country, to the host country, it becomes important, it becomes very difficult sometimes when he to connect with different people in that different country. So over here we need to train the person, we need to guide the person, counsel the person that how he is going to face these particular situations in different countries and how he is going to deal with or cope up with the different working environment of these countries. Then coming down to the second point, that is employment laws varies from the country to country. So if the person is moving, say suppose from India to US, so employment laws also differ, because laws in India related to employment are different as compared to laws in US. So of course the compensation package will again be affected with these change in employment laws. So this will also be an aspect of international human resource only. Then comes the third point, cultural differences cause professional misunderstandings. Now if we are not able to understand the various cultures of the different countries, somewhere the people may say take time as a very precious thing, whereas in some countries people may take time as not a very serious issue. So over here we need to understand, if we are concentrating on time, so how people are going to react on that particular aspect. So as an HR person, it is necessary that the cultural difference of different countries, or the country where the person is going to move, or the country where he is going to start up his operations, his work, his processes, over there what is the actual culture that the people are following. Then complexity becomes far more greater if the issues are not being settled at a very earlier level, because expatriation often means relocation of employees' family as well. Why? Because sometimes it happens that people do not move alone, they want their family to move with them. So if the people are moving along with their family, cost issue for the organization is there, then again the settlement of the family in that host country is also an important aspect that the organization needs to see. So here the focal area of priority of HR also changes with the stages of internationalization. Now there are three international HR activities which are important. We have already studied about these three HR activities in the model of international human resource management, that is procuring, allocating and utilizing of the human resource management. Now in effect these three major activities of HR, it covers almost 6 activities of domestic HR, that is planning, employee hiring, training and development, remuneration, performance management and industrial relations. Now, you can see how complex it has become. It is covering just 3 topics, that means procuring, allocating and utilizing, but when we talk about procurement in detail, allocation in detail and utilization in detail, it will further divide the processes of human resource management in sub parts. Now, comes the very first point, that is international staffing. Now, it is a very challenging aspect of human resource management, that who we are going to employ for the expansion of the business in the host country. So, staffing becomes a challenging function. Now, finding the right set of the people for the country, for the company who will move to the different country for the functions of the organization is important. So, this right set of people, finding these right set of people from within the organization, or you are going to hire from outside the organization, from your home country or from a host country, this will depend on the type of people you will be requiring to expand your business in the other country. Then again, the second point when we take up international staffing is cost. It is also a major consideration when we talk in terms of people. So, of course, when a person is moving to the other host country, the cost is involved, cost of his relocation from home country to the host country. Then again, if he is moving with his family, relocation of his family from the home country to the host country. Now, cost of finding international employee and hiring that person is also high when we talk about international staffing. Now, it is not important for the organization, it is not always easy for the organization to send people from the home country to the host country. Sometimes it becomes important, it becomes compulsion, mandatory for the organization to take up people from the host country where you are going to operate the business, because again certain kind of environmental factors come into play. It may be difficult to hire professional from other countries since the compensation may not work in favor of the expats. Now, of course, when the people are moving from the host country to the from the home country to the host country, the compensation package will always be on an increasing side. Now, now we can decrease this compensation package by employing or hiring the people from the host country. Now, finding them is a very challenging task for the human resource department. Now, again we were talking about the environmental factors. The environmental factors or the political factors also come into play, where certain host countries put into obligations on the companies that you have to hire at least 60% of the people from the host country, because you are running a business in our country. Now, over here there is a kind of environmental you can say influence on the business, which is non-controllable, and the people and the company has to hire the people from the host country. Now, it is not necessary that you get the right set of people from the host country, or if you get the right set of people from the host country, the cost of hiring of those people may be high for the organization. So, staffing ultimately we can say is a task which is very complex and which will always include some kind of cost of the organization. Now, human resources always aims at lessening down the cost and increasing down the reliability and the existence of the person for a longer period of time in the organization, so that the person is retained in the organization. Now, second biggest challenge is the cultural change. Now, when the expats, when the people of the home country, they move from their home country to the host country, they are termed as expats. Now, when expats move across national boundaries, they face many cultural changes of that particular country. A lot of pre-departure training for the expats is focused on cross-culture training. Now, of course, when the people move from one national to the another national, here it is important for human resources that they provide certain kind of departure training, provide certain kind of information about the cultural change they will be facing when they move to the other country, so that they are well prepared to face and cope up with the changed environment of the countries. Now, cultural fitment of expats play important role in the success of the project and international assignment. Now, of course, why do we give certain kind of departure training to the people? Why? Because a cultural fit cultural fit is important, so that the person who moves from one country to the other country, he fits himself into a new culture where he has gone, and over there if he fits in that new culture, of course the results will be efficient working for the organization and the success of the projects on which he is working. Now, multinational companies often develop hiring strategies and training interventions to cope up with the cultural change. Now, of course, hiring strategies over here is an important aspect, and the training interventions over. What will be your strategy to hire the people? Will they be from the host country? Will they be from the home country? Then again, if they are from the home country, what kind of trainings are to be given? If they are from the host country, then the type of training that has to be given to the people, so that they are able to cope up with the cultural change that they are going to face. Now, over here if we talk about culture itself, Hofstede defines 6 cultural dimensions which give a lot of help to the human resources department, so that to understand how cultural change affects the people. Now, if we see the cultural dimensions given by Hofstede, they are: the first one, the power index. Power index means the degree to which the less powerful members of the society expect or accept the power that is distributed equally or unequally. Now, over here, the higher the power, the people will move towards the person. Now, it will also depend on the culture of that particular society. Then comes the second point, individualism or collectivism. Now, when we talk about individualism, it means a strong sense of personal identity. That means the person takes care of only himself or their immediate families. So, if individualism, if IDV score is high, that means that culture supports the care of the person himself and the families. While if we talk about collectivism, which is opposite of IDV, if it means preference of group identity. Now, both these factors are important when we understand the culture of that country where the person is going to move. Then masculinity versus femininity. So, masculinity side of the dimension represents a preference in the society for achievement, heroism, assertiveness, material rewards for success, whereas femininity stands for preference for cooperation, modesty, caring for weak, quality of work life. So, both of them are preferred in the organization, but the thing is that when we move to the other country, when we move to the host country, what kind of culture, what kind of society we are going to face. So, if it is more male dominating, if it is more heroism, achievement dominating, assertive dominating, it will be a kind of masculinity. Then comes the fourth point, that is uncertainty avoidance index. Some of the people avoid uncertainty. If they do not know the future, they feel very uncomfortable. So, if this degree is high in the people, they will be very uncomfortable in the new environment. So, it is very risky task for the organization to put a stake on these kind of people if they are uncertain, if they want to avoid uncertainty in the future. Then comes indulgence versus restraint. Indulgence stands for a society that allows relatively free gratification of basic and natural human drives related to enjoying life and having fun. So, of course, when we see this means mingling up with the people of the other society, other culture of that particular country. Opposite of indulgence is restraint. That means the restraint, a kind of cold restraint that the people feel when they move out in the society to enjoy themselves, to have fun with the people outside in the other country. So, if the indulgence is high, the person is able to fit himself in a very easy manner, whereas if the restraint is high, of course, he will feel some kind of pressure if he is going to mix up with the people of the other country. Then comes the long term orientation, LTO, or short term native orientation. Now, when we talk about orientation, it means some kind of vision, some kind of thought process that the person is having. So, when we talk about long term orientation, we are focused on future, the person is focused on his future. So, he works on basic skills, he works on basic small aspects, so that his future becomes more and more strong. Whereas when the person is short term orientation, with short term orientation, he is more focused on his present or past and consider them to be more important than his future. So, over here if LTO is more, if LTO is on a higher side, then we can have futuristic managerial positions for that person. But if he is of a short term orientation, he always looks at the societal change with a kind of suspicion. So, these were the basic 6 you can say cultural dimensions that as an HR person we need to understand when a person moves from one country to the other country. Now, coming down to moreover understand the basic dimensions given by Hofstede, we have this particular diagram. So, over here all the 6 dimensions are given in the center, and the lower side and the higher side of each of the dimensions are explained. So, when we talk about power distance, if this dimension is low, the person is kind of egalitarian, and if this kind of dimension is high on a higher side, the person embraces hierarchy. That means if we want more of organizational structure in that particular country, if we want more of the people in the country, in that country, in down the line if we want more nodes in the higher level management, middle level management and the lower level management, that means the number of hierarchy is more. So, over here the power distance will increase. For example, an HR manager, if he is having a number of people down the line, so the lowest level of HR trainee, his power distance between the two will be more. So, HR trainee will directly be reporting to the, you can say, senior HR or a junior HR manager. He may not be directly reporting to the HR manager. So, this distance of power between the HR manager and the HR trainee is that he is embracing the hierarchy, he wants more and more people in the organization. Similarly, if we talk about collectivism and individualism, so if it is more on the higher side, individualist approach is there, that means the person moreover thinks about himself and his family, not the group or the team he is working for. Similarly, the third one, that is uncertainty avoidance index, if this is high, the person becomes very uncomfortable, he always tries to avoid uncertainty that is there in the new changed environment of that particular country. Then comes femininity and masculinity. Then of course, if masculinity is high, we are giving more importance to the power of the person. Similarly, if femininity is high, then we are nurturing, we are training, we are developing people, and we are looking into more softer side, developing softer skills of the person, so as to meet the changing demands of the environment in the different country. Then comes, if we talk about STO and LTO, when we talk about it in lower side, on the lower side, it becomes very traditional, it becomes very short term, maybe about 1 year or 6 months. But if we talk about on a higher side, it is a futuristic approach, it becomes very long term approach, the vision becomes very long term, and the people also embrace their growth in the organization. So, the person should always be of a LTO side, should always be high on the LTO cultural dimension. Then comes the very last cultural dimension, that is restraint versus indulgence. So, if more and more indulgence will be there, high indulgence, the satisfaction is good. So, why? Because the person is able to mix himself with the changes of the society, he is able to mix himself with the people of the changed society. Why? Because that culture is allowing him to mingle with those people. Similarly, if the culture is not allowing him to mingle, if the culture is of a restrictive type, the cultural people say that we are not going to talk to the person from a strange country or from a alien country. So, over here it becomes a repression for the person, and the person becomes dissatisfied from this kind of culture. So, overall understanding of this cultural dimension given by Hofstede, it gives a you can say a network or a pathway, so that we are better able to understand the different types of employees that are there in the organization, and placing them at the right place, dealing with different processes, different functions in the different countries, and expansion of the business is important. Then comes, of course, both these challenges, the staffing challenge and the cultural challenge, will lead to development of international human resource perspective. Why? Because we need to determine overseas competencies required. Now, of course, when we talk about international staffing, we can hire people from the outside of the country, but it is important to understand the very right skills that are needed to be hired. So, if we are not able to jot down the various skill sets that are needed to be hired for that particular host country, we will not be able to define the competency level of these people. And if the competencies are less, if the competencies are restricted, so the basic purpose of the organization, say for example expansion of the organization, may also be hampered. Then again, recreate job analysis and job description based on the competencies. Now, of course, we cannot take the same job analysis as being done in the home country for the host country jobs. Of course, why? Because when we talk about the host country, a number of environmental factors, political factors also come into play. So, over here we need to recreate, we need to redesign the job analysis, job description factors of the job, which will now be basically depending on the competencies of the people. Then keeping a pool of applicant interested in the overseas assignment. Now, of course, over here not everyone from the organization will be willing to move outside their native country, because people are afraid of cultural change, they are afraid of compensation package that the company will be offering him. So, over here it is important to understand who are the people within the organization, existing employees in the organization who are interested for moving to the overseas assignment. So, if we keep the people, if we keep a pool of these kind of people, we have a ready data, we have a ready pool, we have a ready talent set which can move to the move to the other countries for this overseas assignment. Now, if we have this ready set, we can also attach with a different set of trainings that need to be given to these people, and then of course departure trainings will be given and they can be sent for a effective project that they will be handling over there. Then comes, as assignment becomes open, review pool and interview candidates. Now, similarly, if we have this pool ready, so we are almost ready for any kind of project that comes from the host country. So, over here if we have this ready pool, we just need to review the pool, we just need to give a last step watch into the pool and prepare the people, check into their skill sets, train them if any kind of training is required. Different kinds of training is being given for the people to move from one country to the another. So, give them these kind of training and then they are ready to move to the host country. So, now you can see how normal domestic HRM has led to international HRM perspective. Now, altogether the whole of the process of human resource development, human resource management has changed when we move from one country to the other country. Now, here we need to understand, we have already understood the different aspects, the different models of human resource management. We have already also understood the different kinds of people that different kinds of employees that were there in the organization, and how domestic human resource management has led to development of international human resource management. Now, we need to understand how it is different from the how it is different from domestic human resource management. Now, when we talk about difference between human resource management in terms of international human resource management, we have four aspects in altogether: the cultural environment, the industry within which the multinationals primarily involved, and then complexity that is involved, extent of reliance of the multinationals on it. So, we are taking up the basic 4 points. The cultural environment. The culture encompasses values, behavioral norms and patterns and behavior of the country. So as to avoid the cultural shock, we need to understand the departure training to the expats is very important. So, if the expats are moving from one country to the another, they need to be trained in such a way so that they are able to face the cultural shock they are going to have. So, people can get psychologically disoriented because they may miss or misunderstand the clues which lead to low performance or higher rates of failure. Then comes the industry type. We also need to, when we see that people move from one country to another, the basic difference, the type of industry we are having. So, we are having two types of industry, that is global industry or the multi-domestic industry. So, performance competitiveness in one country is influenced by the firm's position in the other country. So, of course, both of these will be affected by various other environmental factors faced by the individuals who are moving out of the country. The multi-domestic industry, on the other hand, competitiveness is independent of firm's position in the other country. So, depending on the type of industry, we need to understand what kind of training, what kind of difference will be there in domestic human resource as well as in international human resource. Then also we need to understand the market structure of the domestic environment. So, countries that have a large domestic market that account for majority of the business will have more emphasis on the domestic operations. So, if we already have one kind of domestic environment, domestic market in the same home country, the company will be having less emphasis to move on the host country for expansion of the business. Then again, the management attitude towards all these three factors are also important factor. So, when management is more open to the global expansion, the human resource management strategies become more suited for the local market management. So, basically we have we can have differences between international human resource management and human resource management. On the international side, it addresses a very broad view, broad range of international human resource activities, while when we talk about domestic human resource management, it only acts on a narrow range of human resource activities, on a narrow range of types of employees, on a narrow range of, you can say, laws, because it deals with laws of only one country. But when we move into international aspect, many countries, laws, rules, regulations and types of employees come into play. Secondly, if HR issues, if we talk about international human resource, HR issues are related to people belonging to more than one country, while when we talk about normal human resource management or domestic human resource management, it belongs to the people, it relates to the people who belong from the single nationality. Then when we talk about international human resource management, the involvement of HR manager is more in the personal lives of the employees, because we need to fit people in the different cultures, we need to fit people in different compensation packages. So, involvement in the personal life is more when we talk in the terms of international human resource. Then comes international human resource, it gives greater exposure to risks and international assignments. So, if the person is more exposed to different assignments, his skill sets, his capabilities, his capacities will also be increased and enhanced. Then similarly, if we talk about international human resource, it has to manage several external factors which come into play, for example, environmental factors, political factors, governmental factors, which are not under the control of the company when we talk about it in the host country. So, these are the basic differences between the international human resource management and the domestic human resource management. So, ultimately we can say for successful movement from say domestic environment perspective to international human resource environment perspective, we need to understand the type of environment, we need to understand the challenges the human resource department is going to face, and then slowly and gradually train people and develop their capabilities, so that they are able to fit into the cultural change in the host country that the host country is going to pose in front of them. Thank you.